All right, in the meantime, here, we just told you a little bit about California that just had a spike in cases here now, 600,000 total cases here. That's a big state, a lot of people, we get that. But it's a costly issue for California as well. Right now, it wants some help from the federal government, as do most of the other states in the country. And this is a situation that will keep the Californians in the red unless something is done, either cut spending, raise taxes. And on my next guest, the Democratic Assemblyman Rob Bonta, who wants, I guess, Assemblyman, it sounds like a wealth tax, a surtax on those who have a worth in excess of 15 or 30 million individually. Could you explain how that would work?
Yes. Thank you for having me, Neil. We're proposing a wealth tax, which applies a 0.4% tax on wealth above $30 million. It affects about 0.15% of the California population, so not the top 10%, not the top 1%, the top 0.15%, about 30,000 people, and should generate about $7.5 billion a year.
How does it work? So is it 15 million for couple, 15 million individuals, 30 million for couple? How does that work?
Yeah, if you're a married couple filing jointly, it's if you have $30 million in joint assets, the amount over $30 million is what is taxed, and it's taxed at the 0.4% rate. So you get your first $30 million untaxed. Your next $10 million is taxed at about $40,000. Your next $10 million after that, another $40,000.
If I'm one of those 30,000 or whatever you said, Assemblyman, what's to stop me from bolting? I'm not going to put up with this. I'm out of here. Many have already left, right?
Well, common argument, and certainly worthy of consideration. In California, we've had taxes on millionaires in the past. We raised taxes in 2012 by 3%, and the number of millionaires and billionaires in California has grown. We have 25% of the nation's billionaires, 17% of the nation's millionaires. Those numbers are up, and we've grown to be the 5th largest economy in the world. So while worthy of consideration, it has not panned out. The data doesn't show that will happen. And we also have structured the wealth tax so that avoidance is not as simple as moving to another state. We have a phased-in approach whereby if you move in year one, you're 90% of the tax still applies to you. In year two, 80% of the tax, and so on for 10 years until it phases out. So we've looked at some of the wealth taxes.
Wait. Are you saying, Assemblyman, that after they move and they've left, you're still taxing them? They're no longer California residents. You can't legally do that.
For 10 years. The wealth was accumulated during their time in California, during the nexus that they had with the state of California, and that is what we're proposing in our bill. We believe we can do that. Certainly, we're open to dialogue and discussion as we move the bill forward, but we think it's a sound approach and has strong legal foundation.
Sounds like they'd be prisoners of California. They might hate it. They might hate getting screwed by the tax man, but you're not letting them leave. You're saying if you leave, I'm still going to Zoom you.
Well, you remember Senator Elizabeth Warren had her penalty if you changed citizenship. This is not that, but this does say it recognizes the fact that wealth was accumulated over time in the state of California, and if we're going to have a wealth tax.
But what if it wasn't, Assembly? What if it wasn't? What if someone moved from another locale to California, is worth a lot of money, got that money in another state, another locale, she arrives in your beautiful state and learns that that wealth is going to be taxed?
It is a beautiful state. Thank you. When people move in from out of state, the same applies. The wealth tax phases in 10% a year over 10 years, so they're not hit with it on day one. It recognizes that wealth may have been accumulated outside of California, and once they move to California, that wealth.
But Assemblyman, if I'm one of those who knows that I'm a wealthy person, I'm moving to California, and I know they've got this graduated plan, this wealth tax that's going to start from the day I move there, why the hell would I want to move there?
Because it's California, because we have some of the greatest business ecosystems, markets, the largest state in the nation, one of the greatest education systems for workforce. We have Silicon Valley and the ecosystem of,
Assemblyman, you're quite right. You have a lot of allures. You have a lot of allures that appeal to a great number of people. But the fact of the matter is they were apparently not appealing enough for scores of companies to leave your state, go to places like Texas or Florida, safer confines for themselves and their money. I mean, it hasn't been just an exodus. It's been a jailbreak.
Look, on the margins, Neil, some businesses may decide to leave. That's their decision. We still do have a lot of very successful businesses. We have quite a few successful businesses in California, Neil, as you know, Silicon Valley.
But they're down. They're running away. They are running away, right?
Well, our millionaires and billionaires have grown. Our economy has grown. I don't think the image of folks fleeing has panned out. I don't think it's historically true on the margin.
You're representing that a little curiously. I think the millionaires and billionaires you talk about is over the course of time, people's wealth has increased in California as it has increased across the country. So it's a little disingenuous for you to imply with that there are people just in record numbers. Well, I gotta be in California. There are plenty of other wonderful places for them to be. I know where your heart is on this, Assemblyman, and I get that. But do you think it's going to boomerang on you? And a lot of people you're counting on to foot the bill will say, the hell with you.
I don't think so, Neil. You know, we have 150 approximately billionaires in the state of California. Their wealth has grown $175 billion during the pandemic. We have people, as you know, who publicly have stated, Eli Broad, George Soros, Abigail Disney, saying, tax me more, impose a wealth tax. I want to invest in the common good, our common future. I know we're all in this together. And so we like to look at data and evidence, and the data and evidence around millionaires in California and billionaires is that they have grown. They are not fleeing. And this is a way to address some of our most challenging issues, our climate crisis, our healthcare pandemic, our education system. And it's patriotic to do that, and it's fair to do this. We need to make sure we take care of our most vulnerable, most disadvantaged. We believe in a California for all, and I believe our millionaires and billionaires believe in that too.
All right, we can go back and forth on the number of millionaires and billionaires and whether they're more or less, or that just happened that with the wealth, growth itself, it's made more people fit in that category. But it's interesting what you're starting here. I know there are others who are exploring exactly what you're doing. So you've started something, Assemblyman. We'd love to have you back, talk more about it. Thank you in the meantime.
It'd be my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Neil.